The killer kidnapped his victim, then raped, choked, stabbed, beat her with a baseball bat, and decapitated her. Afterward, according to information shared with his attorneys and relayed to the victims' families after his conviction and sentencing for the 2017 murder, Brent Christensen placed cut-up pieces of 26-year-old Chinese scholar Zhenying Zhang's body into 3 trash bags, which he tossed into a dumpster behind his apartment in Champaign, Illinois. From there, the dumpster's contents were collected and compacted before winding up in a landfill under additional layers of trash. Desperate to retrieve Zhang's remains for proper burial, even as Christensen kept quiet through his trial last month about what he did with her body, the victim's family now knows those remains could be smaller than a cell phone. Zhang family attorney Steve Beckett said at a news conference Wednesday, "It is evident that any attempt to recover her remains would be complicated and expensive, would require government oversight and the cooperation of the landfill owners, and would have no certainty of success," said Beckett. The family only learned the details about the remains on July 25th after Christensen's trial ended and prosecutors shared information gleaned from Christensen's defense attorneys that previously had been kept secret under a prosecution immunity agreement, said Beckett. This information came from the defense lawyers, and that information indicated that the remains, as it traced down, could be found in a landfill in Vermilion County, Beckett said last week. Responding to Christensen's claims, Zhang's father said Wednesday at a news conference through a translator, "If what the man said is true, it further confirms that he is a heartless and evil person." Christensen was sentenced July 18th to life in prison without the possibility of parole for Zhang's 2017 kidnapping and murder. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Zhang arrived in the U.S. from China as a visiting scholar in April 2017 to do postgraduate research at the University of Illinois. She had texted to say she was running late but on her way to an appointment to sign an apartment lease when she vanished on June 9, 2017. A security camera later showed Zhang accepting a ride from a black Saturn Astra traced to Christensen, a former Sykes PhD candidate. A female witness who subsequently identified him said that earlier in the day he posed as a police officer and asked her to get in his car to answer questions. The woman had refused and alerted police. It was later alleged that Christensen had conducted searches about abduction fantasies on a fetish website, according to a criminal complaint obtained by People magazine. Police questioned him and placed him under surveillance. His arrest on June 30th came one day after he attended a walk to raise awareness about the search for Zhang, and confessed in a recording made by his then-girlfriend that he had killed her, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Christensen told his own attorneys that on June 10th, the day after he kidnapped and murdered Zhang, he placed her dismembered remains in the trash outside his apartment to be hauled off during regular trash collection 3 days later. Beckett and another Zhang family attorney said at a news conference that they learned those dumpster contents were hauled to a private landfill in Danville and compacted at least twice. They said the likely dumping area is about 50 yards wide and topped with at least 30 feet of garbage. Despite such challenges, federal investigators have not given up the idea of searching for the remains, even though investigators describe for us that at this stage, with decomposition and then the compaction, the size of the remains would be smaller than a cell phone, said Beckett. Christensen, who faced the death penalty, had offered to say what he had done with the body in exchange for a plea deal to save his life, according to WTTW. But prosecutors said no. His attorneys again offered up the information, but on the condition that prosecutors wouldn't use it against Christensen at his trial, resulting in the immunity agreement that kept Zhang's family in the dark until recently. This week, the university announced the creation of an endowment fund in Zhang's name to support international students in moments of crisis. Zhang had planned to study at the University of Illinois and pursue her dream of becoming a professor in China.